Welcome back to another episode of Emotional Nightmares. My name is Tyler and I am your host. And on today's episode, we're going to continue into the theme of our channel, which is the substance abuse and mental health. So we have with us a guest. His name is Scott. He's going to share with us kind of about his story, what had happened, what it was like, and what it's like today. Kind of help provide hope for those that are suffering with addiction. So, with that, Scott, if we want to look back at your life through addiction, um, what were the early warning signs of your addiction?
Well, Tyler, thanks for having me on. Like I said, I'm honored and humbled. And the early signs, um, with me being an Army brat, there was a lot of abuse starting. The earliest I can remember was the age of 4, living in Germany. Dad, severe alcoholic. He would come home and just beat my mom, sister, and I. And so then it got so bad, we moved to a town 45 minutes south of St. Louis. And we moved in with my grandma. Things were good. And then one night I was eating dinner with my grandma and I threw up on the plate of food. She wouldn't let me leave until I ate to throw up and the food underneath it. So at an early age, the physical and the mental abuse. Um, and the abandonment issues started happening. I didn't know that until I got into recovery. And then my mom got remarried and she moved to a town about 30 minutes south of St. Louis. Um, and we bought a house, so we weren't going to be moving around anymore, right? And when I look back now, that's where because I was the guy that if I found a song in the 80s, I listened to it over and over and over again. At school, we could have pizza, hamburgers, and tacos, and I'm eating pizza every day because so when I look back now, that's where I knew that's kind of where things started. And things were cool with my stepdad, but in the middle of the night, he raped me. So at an early age, I called it like the trifecta of abuse, the physical, the mental, and then the sexual. And in the 80s, you don't talk about that. Boys, who you going to tell? They're going to make fun of you. Nobody's going to believe you. So at that point, I started acting out with violence, and I was vandalizing houses in the neighborhood. The teachers never called me Scott anymore. They called me Rocky because I was always beating up people they didn't like. So they were fueling all the hurt and the shame and the anger on the inside. Now on the outside I looked good, like I had everything under control. But on the inside I was just dying. This went on and on and on. And I did not well when I was 17 I was in a bad accident, and in 87 that's when things changed for me, and that's when the doctor gave me pain pills because I was bedridden for 3 weeks, thought I was going to have back surgery. So at that point, me not knowing where I fit in and had all this inner like anger and just it was awful. And once those pain pills hit, Tyler, it was all over. I was just able to focus and sit in. And even after the doctor released me, I still was going back. Oh, my leg or my back. You know what I mean? So it was just a constant, constant, constant.
Was your first introduction to like opiates?
Yeah, yeah. At the age of 17.
So, yeah, I mean there's a couple things going on there. That's a lot to unpack, right? So,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, yeah, I mean, you got a lot of stuff going on here because you've already kind of identified like you're going through all these different abuses and this emotion, and the abandonment that comes along with that. So opiates, they're like that warm blanket, because we always talk about like when the moment was that the drugs took over emotionally, right? And like when they take over emotionally, they kind of give you that feeling, especially if you feel alone, you feel abandoned, you feel hurt. Opiates kind of give you that warm blanket of like, oh, I've arrived.
Absolutely, absolutely. It and I got married in '90. Um, we were young. She was pregnant. Back in that, if you're pregnant, you get married like a shotgun. Like this is what you.
Yeah, I was just gonna say shotgun wedding. Yeah.
It's what we thought we knew everything and didn't know anything. Um, and that lasted about 2 years. And she left. Um, you know, I'm not saying that it was all me. I was 17, I was 19 and she was 17 when we got married. So you can just imagine over those 2 years, things going. So at that point, I knew I was losing everything and I ended up I was physically working 100 hours a week. And at this point, it was just the pain pills, mini thins, and Mountain Dew, right? But I was working 60 hours a week, midnights at one place, even 40 hours a week during the day, going home, sleeping when I can, and just doing it all over again. And I remember one morning I walk in and I worked for the day job. I was a busboy at Shoney's restaurant. I don't know if they have Shoney's out that way, but Sunday
Never
breakfast
heard.
bars were like people would wait 2 hours just to eat at a Shoney's. You know what I mean? It was like so I walk in, got black eyes, black circles under my eyes, and knew I was losing everything. And my manager goes, "Man, you look rough." I said, "Good morning to you too." And he says, "I'm going to go into the bathroom. You go in right after me. When I come out, don't let anybody go in." And I went in, and Tyler, there was just a line on the back of the toilet: the good Scott, bad Scott, good Scott, bad Scott. What seemed like a lot of time, it wasn't. You know what I mean? It just seemed like forever. I said, "The hell with it," and did it. And it ended up being crystal meth. And that is I thought the pain pills made me good. No, when that meth hit, it was all over. It was all over. Um, couldn't function unless I had it. Um, and then around all this time, my dad called, the one that physically abused me. I was in the army. He wanted to move to Missouri to be closer to my sister and I. And I said, "Okay." I said, "But you can't drink. I got a extra room in my trailer. I had a buddy living at one end. I was on the other. My dad could move in uh, the middle." I said, "You can't drink." "Tyler, I'm having keg parties in the other room." My trailer was literally like the toga party at Animal House: sex, drugs, rock and roll. And I'm telling an alcoholic he can't drink because
Yeah.
my mindset was I wasn't thinking about the situation I put him in. I was thinking about the abuse he gave me. That's all I could think about, right? And when I found out he was drinking, I kicked him out. Um, and about 6 weeks later, we were at a funeral, and he came up and he said, "Son, you were right. I was wrong. I'm sorry." Again, I was thinking about the beatings. I wasn't thinking about the situation, and I told him to get away. And about a week later, he went to sleep and he never woke up. So the last conversation I had with my dad was out of hate, right?
Yeah.
Um, you thought that would have maybe woken me up a little bit?
No.
No.
And
Just
at this time you're doing meth, right?
yeah, yeah.
So I always explain, so I like to, when we're talking about meth, like I always try to explain. So most of my listeners know very well, because like I said, we live in a meth town. But a lot of people do not, because a lot of people are from the opiate era. And I always try to like explain to people, like, if you're doing meth, you don't understand the hell that it is if you've never seen it. Like,
No,
meth is like a new level of hell that just can't be explained. I've never in my life, meth consumed my soul in like a week time. It only took like a week. Compared to any other drug out there, meth was the one that I easily gave my soul up for, right? And people don't understand, and I always try to emphasize that this is a hell of a drug that you've never experienced. And, you know, don't go down that road if you've never experienced it, because it's not a road you want to see, you know?
no, not at all. I felt like when I did that line of meth, I sold my soul to the devil right then, 100%. It
Every
was,
single person you talk to will tell you that. Like one line equaled, here's my soul. I will gladly give it to you for this.
yeah, yeah. And it, you know, back in the 90s, it's definitely not like it is today. I mean, it was,
Right.
you know,
Pure affection back then.
yeah, yeah, it was 100%. Sure. That consumed my life from the age of 22 until I was 46, right? And in between there, once my dad died, I lost a trailer, I lost my job, the midnight job. And back in the 90s, I was making like 50,000 a year, which I mean, that's good money now. And it's definitely in the 90s wasn't bad, but I worked a lot of overtime because I had the energy to do it, right? Um, got arrested and should have done jail time, but you know, I was in and out of relationships. After I lost a job, I couldn't hold one, but I thought I was good because I always had something in my system, always. Um, and we'll fast forward to 2013 because honestly, from 96 to 2013, it was the same thing: sex, drugs, rock and roll, just total chaos. And in 2013, I was working for a company that were getting ready to shut down, and at this point, I'm living with a girl who is everything that I thought I wanted. And I tell people that because there's a difference.
Yeah, that's why I'm laughing. I've been there. I
Um,
get it. I get it.
she was an amazing woman. She didn't do drugs. She just drank. She had two beautiful kids, lived on 6 acres, and she didn't know that I was a drug addict. She just knew I drank. And Tyler, I started stealing everything from her because at this point I couldn't hold the meth anymore. I could not hide it. I was sneaking around, and she ended up kicking me out. So I ended up moving in with my mom. I was really cool. You know, at this point, I'm 45. I'm living in mommy's basement, no job, no car, no money, but I had the ride or die dope friends, the ones that are going to be with you all the time until something happens and then they're gone.
Yeah. Till the dope runs out.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And about this time, my mom was putting her third husband in a nursing home, which I didn't know. I knew that he had dementia, but I didn't know that she was putting him in a nursing home, and he was phenomenal. My mom's third husband, they'd been together, I don't know, 18 years. While she's doing this, I'm stealing from her. Tyler, I mean, I would steal from my mom, and then I would help her try to find what she thought she lost, knowing that I'd already spent it, right? And I took money off her debit card one time, and um, she found out. I came home, and I denied it because I don't know about anybody else, but my addiction, I denied it. You know, I told her that there was somebody running around the area that looked just like me. It had to have been them getting her purse, and it wasn't me, right? But my mom knew, and I knew she knew, and she told me to get out the house. And 3 days later, I'm partying, and my phone rings, and it's my sister. And my mom was walking down the hallway of the nursing home, went to walk in where my stepdad's room was. She had a brainstem stroke, and she never recovered. So the last two conversations I had with my parents were out of hate because of my addiction. And when my mom was in the hospital before they put her on hospice, I couldn't even go into I couldn't go look. I couldn't go see her unless I was high. I couldn't do it. And it was the drugs that, now I didn't cause the stroke, but I didn't help it. Right. It, but I remember we were sitting in the waiting room one night with my sister, brother-in-law, my uncle, my nieces. And I said, I got to go. And this hospital, right on the other side of the hospital, there's probably 20 restaurants up and down the road, right? And I told my sister, I said, look, I got to go get something to eat. You know, I got to process this. I'm not dealing with it well. 2 hours later, my sister calls me. She says, where you at? I said, I'm still eating. You know, I'm just having a hard time. And she said, okay. She believed me. Tyler, you know where I was at? I was in South St. Louis. I had a hooker in my car, and we were getting high while my mom was dying.
Uh, I mean, to the average listener, that sounds crazy, but to the people that are probably watching this show, that sounds about right. You
Yeah.
know?
Mentally, that's where I was at with my dick. I couldn't get out of bed unless if I didn't have a rig right there, if I didn't have something or didn't have a plan, I was not fun to be around. You know what I mean? So then I was in a bad accident where hence why I've been off work. This was 2015. I had three plates and 9 screws put in my leg. And while I was in the hospital, um, my mom passed away. And they waited for me to get out to have the memorial. Tyler, not one person talked to me except a little kid who didn't know any different. I mean, not one person. Um, and I was in a wheelchair because I wasn't sure I was going to walk again. So my girlfriend who kicked me out, the one that was everything I thought I wanted, let me move back in because I didn't have anywhere to go. I was in a wheelchair for 90 days, a walker for 90 days, crutches, therapy, and she's trying to make the relationship work while I'm in there. And the only thing I was thinking of, Tyler,
Getting that.
when can I walk? When can I drive? When can I get high again? So when that happened, everything that she had left from um, me stealing, if it was left from the last time she kicked me out, it was gone this time. I mean, that one, I did. It was bad. It was bad. So she kicked me out, and I'd been homeless for a hot minute, and ended up on the streets of St. Louis in December of 2016, and um, I was just begging God to let me die because all my attempts at suicide up till then didn't work. I couldn't even kill myself the right way, right? And I had no family, and I remember one night the only phone number that I could remember was my drug dealer, who I spent a lot of money with, and I borrowed somebody's phone, and I called him and I said, "Look, I have not ate. I haven't showered. It's cold. There's a Roach Motel just a few blocks from me that for 4 hours it's like $40 or something. Can you at least help me out?" He said, "No. If I wanted drugs, he would have been right there." And I spent thousands of dollars with him. I ended up getting away from St. Louis down to some friend's house, and they were going to let me stay for one day, enough to get some sleep, some food, and a shower, wash my clothes. They had 2 ice dealers there.
Hmm.
I stayed up 14, 15 days, there 15 days. And when I left, I thought an alien was living behind this ear and an alien was living behind this ear. And they were talking to me. It was like two different conversations, right? I can laugh about it now, but they were talking to me like Jack Buck was doing the Cardinal baseball games with that real soft, like monotone, right? And if you had a flat bill hat on, you were out to kill me. So when I when I left and I was going to Arnold, which was south of Festus, said I was like ping ponging back across the highway. If somebody would have been watching me, they would have been, "What is going on with this dude?" um,
Yeah.
and I ended up collapsing. And then I woke up 4 days later in a hospital. And they said, "What do you want?" I said, "I'm done. I don't have any fight left in me. No family, no insurance, because nothing." And they got me into treatment, and I haven't looked back. Uh, my sister, it's going on 11 years. She still hasn't talked to me. Doesn't want nothing to do with me. And my son, I haven't seen him since 1997. Um, which both of them hurt, but I can't blame them, right? I cannot blame my son, and I can't blame my sister. Um, but when I go into like treatment centers, or if I'm at a recovery event speaking, or I even put it in I've got a book on Amazon. It's like, okay, I was an addict for 30 years. I did so much damage in 30 years. I cannot expect my sister to roll out the red carpet after 9 or 10 years. I just can't. I
I'm
can't.
glad that you say that, right? So I want to pause there, right? Because I get a lot of people that ask this question. Um, so because a lot of people, when we get sober, and working in inpatient rehab, I saw this a lot with people. We would get sober and everybody wants to run and do the I'm sorry, forgive me. And, you know, and right now, like you see that where you're just like, I can't expect them to forgive me for that. And I think a lot of times we get sober, and I see a lot of people get sober and then they want that forgiveness. They start with the I'm sorries, and then people don't forgive them, and then they end up going back to the drug, right? And like I always try to explain to people, like, um, you can't expect somebody to forgive you because the words "I'm sorry" doesn't matter. The only apology is that of changed behavior. If you never change the behavior, you're not sorry. You're just sorry that the situation is together, right? Or that you got caught up in it. If You have to change the behavior. And if you change the behavior over time, people will see, okay, they are different. Um, but that also, again, takes time, right? And we as addicts are not fucking patient,
No,
right?
no. Because I want what I want when I want it. I want
Yeah,
that
of
right
course,
now. It
of course.
what helped me with being able to get to that point is, you know, when I was in treatment, and nobody came to see me. I didn't get a phone call saying we're proud of you, Scott. We were rooting for you. Nobody brought me clothes, cigarettes, none of that. So when I got into sober living and I was able to get a phone, I wanted to start calling my sister and I wanted to start calling these people saying, I'm sorry, it won't happen, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah,
And
everybody does in rehab.
and my
It's universal.
my sponsor put me in check and said, no, not yet. Um, and it was only until after I did the steps is when I started. When I got to step 9 and it was time to make the amends, then I was able to start calling these people because of doing the steps the right way for me. I can't speak for anybody else, but um, when I got to the point and I was calling people, about 90%, or I would say about 90%, 95%, which surprised me, were good job, Scott. I'd say 90% would say good job, Scott. We're proud of you. Just keep it up. There was that 10% that said, F you. We don't want to hear anything. And all I could say is, I get it. I understand. There's nothing I can change. I can't make them forgive me, right?
Yeah.
Um, and there was some people that I just didn't contact because I knew that it would do more harm than good. So it's like doing the living amends. Just try to be better today than I was yesterday. Just try to be service work. Try to help people.
Yeah, I believe in that the most. I think that, because like I know for me personally, like looking back when I got to step 9, there was only a few actual amends I wanted to make. Because like again, it goes back to that apology, right? There were some where I just wasn't sorry. Like I had to be honest and be like, you know what, me making an amends, and this is where we get things confused sometimes with people, is I had to be honest. And my sponsor, he passed away just recently, but he was very good at this. Like he would be like, why are we doing this? And I would have to explain to him like, well, this is why I think it is. And he would tell me like, oh, so you're doing it to save face. Like you're just doing it for that little fucking pat on the back. But in reality of it, you're not really sorry. And that's where we have to be honest and be
right,
able to say like, am I truly sorry for this situation, or do I? And I ended up hurting the person again, you know,
right, right,
and it was because I shouldn't have made that amends. And you know, they forgave me. And then when I hurt them again, they were like, get the fuck out of here. And, I've never spoke to them since. And that was why, is because sometimes we jump the gun.
right, right. Well, and I'm sorry to hear about your sponsor. But it sounds like you had an amazing sponsor for him to call you out of that. Okay, why are you doing this? You're doing it just for this? And no, you don't. I mean, that's
Yeah, he was a dick because he was honest. That's why I always say that, right?
right,
He
right,
was an asshole because he was honest. He told me what I didn't want to hear. Therefore, he was an asshole. But yeah, his name was Jim Wise, and like everybody in that local area kind of knows him because he was like a AA staple. You know what I mean? One of them old heads that told you fuck your feelings, you know?
right, 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 right.
Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
that's what keeps people alive. And if you get in your
Yeah.
feelings, I'm sorry, but I'd rather you be in your feelings and think I'm being an ass, and you stay around than me have baby wipes and you end up going out and dying.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
100%.
So when people ask me to sponsor them, I always tell them, I say, look, you're going to do something call me every day for 30 days because I want to see you want it. You know what I mean? You're going to have to earn that. And then I'm say at some point, you're going to tell me to go to hell. Oh, Scott, I'd never do that. Well, then I'm not doing my job. Then I
Yeah.
mean, then you need to fire me because I'm not doing my job because it's, especially early on, nobody wants honesty. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to, it's like, especially
No.
when we think we got it figured out, man, I'm doing it my way and it's going to work. And it's like, get out of here. You know what I
I
mean?
think the hardest part is when you have so like I got sober in 2006. I've been sober for a hot minute, but I when I had like 15 years sober, I thought I knew everything. And I remember like going through a breakup and like explaining it to my sponsor and him being like, "Oh, so you're toxic." And I'm like, "Go fuck yourself." I don't want to hear that. Like, yes, I'm toxic, and I know that because I didn't work on that character defect, but I
Right.
didn't want to hear it, And, sometimes ugh, nobody wants to hear the honesty no matter when it is. Or I think early in recovery, I was more receptive of it because, like, I knew, like, man, I'm just a piece of shit. My life is so shitty.
Right.
But
Right.
when I got sober and put shit together, that was when it was a hard pill to swallow. Like, yeah, you're right. I am toxic. And, like, I have to change some behaviors or I'm going to continue to be toxic, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Because this past December, I celebrated 9 years and I still don't know everything and I don't claim to know everything. But if I've got it, even now, there's times I've got something straight, just dead set in my mind and somebody puts me in check and it's like, okay, I got to go sit in my feelings in a minute and calm down because I
Yeah.
want to tell them to
Yeah.
tell them what I really think. And then once I sit back and process it, it's like, hey, they're right. I'm still a mess in some areas, but I don't think we always. I don't know. I don't think we'll always have it figured out. Um, because I think we always learn.
Yeah. You should. Right? That's life. That's the life lesson is you should always be growing on an individual basis and we should stay away from that moment where we think we got this. I always tell people if you hear me say I got this, just call the chief of police and tell him I'm on the way because I'll have a meth lab real quick in the moment I think I got it. Since I've gotten sober, I realize my coffee gets blacker and I don't know shit, you
That's
know?
it. That's it. And if somebody hears me say I got it on my recovery, uh, call the funeral home because that's where I'm headed.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
and then when I was in sober living, and I overcomplicated things. They told me to get a sponsor, do 90 meetings in 90 days, find a home group, do service work, do steps. Um, I didn't know anybody. Tyler, because I went to I changed my people, places, things. So I was 46 and starting over, and I did 130 meetings in 90 days. Um, and that was without a car. Um, I would walk, and people would say, well, it's raining or it's snowing out. Okay. I walked a lot farther to get my dope so I can walk to a meeting.
Yeah.
Right. And then once I started doing that, people started realizing, okay, this guy wants it. And then I didn't have to walk after that. They would call me and say, hey, we're going to, but between that and doing the phone list, and for guys that I've seen, doing the phone list is like the hardest thing I've ever seen because it's weird. I
Yeah.
go to a meeting,
It's
you're
yeah.
there.
Hard now.
You put your name on the phone list the next day. Hey, Tyler. Hey, dude, I saw you in a meeting yesterday. We don't do that. Guys just don't do that because it's weird, right? Well, I mean, by me doing that and getting uncomfortable, that saved my life. Because there was times early on, I'd wake up with a using dream, or my brain would go to. I remember one night I woke up at 2:30 in the morning, and I left the sober house to go for a walk. Ended up going into a casino, and I walked around the casino. But while I'm there, my brain is saying, "Why don't you just have a drink? You can gamble a little bit." I automatically picked up the phone because that's what I was used to doing. Not when things were, I got used to it when things were good. So when
Yeah.
things were bad, it was easier for me to pick up the phone if that made sense.
So that's what, yeah. So I'm very glad that you say that, right? Because that's the one thing I always try to teach. Like when I do like group sessions with clients, like I do like IOP and OP and like all that stuff. And when I do group therapy with clients, I always explain to them this recovery thing is easy when it's going my way, right? And like the point of building that support group is so when shit finally hits the fan, I have something to rely on. And the only reason I have something to rely on is because when things are good, I'm building that habit of calling these people, getting them involved. And in all honesty, I always, every single person, whether they like it or not, will relapse mentally and emotionally.
100%.
So those moments where I have relapsed mentally and emotionally, it was I needed those people to hold me accountable so I didn't relapse physically, right? So I don't put the drugs and alcohol in me. So they're there to say, hey man, you're fucking up. Or, hey, you got to start doing this better or doing that better. So I mean, I'm very glad that you point that out because I always mean to talk about that on the podcast. I always forget.
Yeah, it's I always tell that because I speak at a lot of men rehabs, and I always stress that. Matter of fact, the other night there was 25 in there, and I looked at them all and I said, "You guys think you know? You don't know nothing. So whatever you think you don't know nothing when it comes to recovery. You got to swallow your pride, humble yourself because you don't know anything, and you need to rely on other people to help you." Um, and I always talk about this. The first time I ever got high, Tyler, I didn't know how to do it. Somebody had to show me, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
so if I let somebody show me how to get high, I need to let somebody show me recovery.
yeah.
It's 100%. And then I look at it and go, wow, that makes a lot of sense because we can't do it on our own. We cannot.
Well, I always think of it like a mechanic, right? So I always use this analogy with guys is I might know that my what's wrong with my car, and I know like, hey, there's this issue with my car. I don't know how to fix my car. So I have to take it to a mechanic who can say, this is how you fix the car,
Right.
right? And I have to rely on him to help either show me how to fix it or just fix it. And then, you know, that's the same way with recovery. I know what's wrong. I know I'm fucked up in here, but I need to rely on somebody else who has been there, who has gotten through it, who can say, "Oh, follow me. I know the way out."
Amen.
You know.
Amen. All day long. And that's what for 4 years I built it. It was Narcotics Anonymous. And then, like we talked earlier, for me, I felt a void. I wasn't sure what that void was. And somebody took me to Celebrate Recovery. And it's because I didn't have that spiritual connection with God. I didn't have that. I didn't find that in Narcotics Anonymous. So, um, I even now I take a Celebrate Recovery into a medium security prison right down the road. I talk to them about recovery and Celebrate Recovery and being able to surrender because you got to surrender. You got to you got to just admit, okay, I can't do it. I need help. Um, so I mean, my if you would have told me 9 years ago that I'd be sitting right here talking to you, I would have said, I don't know what you're smoking, but it's better than anything I had because you're crazy. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
you know, I don't like to read or write. I got a book on Amazon. I'm almost done with another one. And so that's where I'm at with my life. But it's because I found recovery. And the sad reality is, and I'm sure you see it, is that I was in treatment with 27 guys. I'm the only one that never relapsed.
Yeah.
I'm the only one and I'm no different than anybody else. I didn't do anything. It's not like somebody hit me in the head with a magic wand for my recovery. You know, some of those guys are dead. Some are in prison. Some are trying to find their way back to recovery. But I don't know about you. I just get tired of hearing "rest in peace." You know, in the past 2 days, it's been on Facebook. Two people that I know have passed away, and it's just sad. It's just sad. So, the
Well,
fact.
nowadays everybody, we tried to count, me and a friend of mine. He's now back in state prison, but we tried to count one time of all the people that we know, not that we know, the people that we have had, like that we have direct friendships
Right.
with. And we got to like 100, and it was 114 is when we stopped and was like, this is getting fucking depressing. And then um that was about 5 years ago that we did that.
Wow.
So that number has increased drastically, especially with the shit they got out there now, man. Like you know, I'm watching people die at a ridiculous number. Like, every day there's, I think statistically, I think they talk about like every couple seconds, but it seems like everybody I know, we're at least losing 4 or 5 people a week, and that's just just from overdose alone. That's not from all the other shit too on top of it, just because, we're getting old now. Um,
I and if you're not in the say you're not doing drugs, but you're still in the lifestyle,
yeah.
you know, somebody I know he got lit up in South St. Louis yesterday. And I think he was just it was still a lifestyle. So that saying, if the drugs don't kill you, the lifestyle will.
Yeah.
And then, as you said, I'm not getting a spring chicken anymore. So a lot of people are just from, whether it be heart attack or whatever is dying. It's just sad. And that's why we just got to keep doing what we're doing to give hope, and just let people know that, hey, we put one foot in the pants at a time. We got to. I told the guys the other night. I looked at him and I said, as far as recovery, I said, the only difference between me and you guys. And they looked at me and I said, I found recovery first. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to constantly tell people, like I tell my clients all the time, like, man, I'm 30 seconds away. I am 1 30-second decision away from being from shooting dope out with mud puddle water again.
Yeah.
Like that. I mean, that's all it takes. 30 seconds. So that's why when things are going good, we have to be vigilant in making sure everything is together, because unfortunately, and people hate when I say this, but unfortunately, we as addicts, man, I'm a junkie. I don't get the luxury of a bad day. You know what I
Oh,
mean? Like a bad day for me could literally be death. So when things are going good, we have to build up those defenses. So when shit does go bad, we have something to fall on and not fall on, mud puddle water.
amen.
That
Amen.
shit sucks.
Amen. Amen. All day long.
Yeah.
All day long. It's when I like when I had that accident and had all the metal put in last October 22nd, they had to take all the metal out, right? And then exactly 6 weeks later, they did a full knee replacement. So back to back in the same leg, I had a lot done, and it was rough, dude. I'm not even gonna lie. And they did prescribe some pain pills, and they prescribed. I was on like 6 different medicine, like spasm medicine, and I took the pain pills as directed, as I needed. My brain wasn't going, oh my God, I wasn't jonesing and I wasn't trying to take more. But it just reminded me that that's a slippery slope. My wife she had the pills and she kept them hidden. And you've been in recovery long enough, that at least for me, I wasn't going to do anything, but I wasn't going to take any chances either. Here, just take them, hide them, whatever. Because he's 30 seconds away from a decision. And when I stopped taking all the medicine, and I even the leg spasm medicine, because it was a mess. I mean, my leg was it was a mess. But even I weaned off all that stuff, and I stopped it. Just my body reacting to not having that stuff anymore. I
Yeah.
mean, even the dude, it took me back to the. I don't miss it. I don't miss it. I don't miss.
Yeah.
Don't miss it. I don't miss it. Um, and then, so now, even though I'm having issues still with the leg, it's getting better, but I don't take anything for it. I may take an ibuprofen, because I know it's easy my brain would go back to, yeah, no, no, my life is too good today to screw anything up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's easy to forget that sometimes. So I feel lucky enough that because I work with people that are detoxing, or I work with people that are still actively using, it constantly reminds me like that shit ain't any better. Today, like, I always joke that it doesn't matter what's going on. My biggest problem today is worrying about what's for dinner, you know. And there was a time where everything was an issue. I've been homeless, I've experienced all that shit. So to be able to just sit back and be able to say, man, what's for dinner? Like, and just argue with my fiance about what we're gonna have for dinner.
It'd
Like,
be hamburgers or steak. You know what I mean? It's
yeah, like I'm not trading this for the world. Like, I sure in the hell would not go back to smoking meth out of a light bulb again over, arguing with her about can we have spaghetti or do we need to have, some crazy stuff that she wants. Um, you know, it's a blessing today.
amen. Amen. My wife's got a camper because I just got married in July of last year, so she's got a camper out back. And last week, two days in a row, somebody broke into the camper. They didn't take anything, so I think they were maybe wanting to lay their head down and warm up a little bit, and then they left. But for a minute there, my brain's going, I'm going to stay out there all night. I'm going to catch him and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then I sat there and thought, I'm grateful to be married. I'm grateful that my wife has a camper for somebody to do that. And I'm grateful to be having to that I can sit inside and I don't have to worry about looking for a place to lay my head and stay warm anymore. I mean, it's just the little things that I'm so, and it's funny because my wife and I go, what do you want for dinner? Well, I don't know. What do you want? Back and forth, back. And that's a blessing.
Yeah.
That is a
And
blessing.
that's our biggest argument.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yep.
I wake up in the morning and the first thing I have to worry about is I know come 11 o'clock she's gonna message me, what are we doing for dinner tonight? And then that's where the conversation goes from there
Right, right,
until we
right.
figure it out. Yeah.
Amen. It's a life.
So you have a book.
Yeah, it's from
What's your book about?
it's just my life story. It goes in depth about my childhood, where I was at. I mean, it really goes into my spiritual walk, where I thought God had forgotten about me. He wasn't there. He was punishing me, to he was with me the whole time, and where I was at in recovery. Um, I should have had it. I didn't even. If you got a minute, I'll go get it and I'll show you what it looks like. It's just in the
I'll
other
put
room.
the link in the
Yeah, it's on
oh,
Amazon, and it's from.
I'll put the Amazon link in the bio for this episode.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'll go grab it real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry about that. And then I did a podcast a few weeks ago, and it said the same thing, and I did not think about bringing the book. I said, hold on a minute if you don't mind. So, and that's what it, it's from chasing dope to pushing hope, my steps to recovery and redemption.
Yeah.
It just breaks it down. And I don't like to read or write. I hate to read and I hate to write. And, here we are with a book, and it's from people. I just want to give hope to people. That's it. I mean, at the end of the day, because, you know, being lost and broken and feeling like nobody's there when you're out in the streets and you're out in that madness, it's like I want people to know that there is a solution. You're not alone because there's people there that can help you that have been where you're at. So
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Um, all right. Well, I appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you having me. This has been fun. I mean, it's been
Yeah.
a blast. Like I said, I'm honored and humbled for sure. And like I said, we'll have to give me a month or so when I get things back and squared away. I'll be shooting you a message or shooting you an email.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's
I'll come
let's
on.
chat.
Yeah, I'll come on. It'll be fun. So, all right. So as always, you the listener, so you know the drill. So it's been 45 minutes. So we greatly appreciate you. You could have been anywhere in the world today, but you sat here to chose to be here with us for these 45 minutes. I greatly appreciate you for listening. If you did not find what you need hopefully you heard something here that'll help you get through the day. If you did not, everybody and their brother has a podcast out. So by all means, listen somewhere else. I don't care. As long as you get help, you don't have to suffer in silence no more. Just reach out for help. If you don't reach out for help, nobody knows you're suffering. So at least tell somebody.
And
If you need resources, you need help, by all means, you can message me on any social media platform. I might not respond right away, so give me at least a couple days, but I will get you any resource that you need, whether it be housing, you need recovery, whatever it is. Um, so we got you. So appreciate you for listening. I hope you guys tune in next week. If not,